Hello there, travelers. This is Andrea Caldi from Virtualissimo. I'm a content strategist for the Intuitive Entrepreneur. Welcome to Thursday's live training in the Intuitive Content Creators Group. Today's topic is what to do when you have a topic that you want to talk about or you want to create content about, but you don't know how to develop a piece of content. So just imagine this scenario. You, I don't know, maybe talking to other people that are in business or in your field, whether it's business that you want to develop content about or something else. You get together and you talk about your stuff and all that, and all these ideas are thrown around, and you think, oh yeah, I should create content about this, and oh, that topic sounds great. And if even if you're doing a business mastermind with other people, it's a program that you're a part of, or even if it's just Sunday barbecue, with some friends of yours, whatever. The point is, you get some ideas for topics and you go, oh my God, this is going to be so awesome. The next day you look at it and go, yeah, I don't know what to do with this. At the time when you had the idea, it sounded awesome. But retrospect, you kind of get a little bit unsure. You don't know how to get started. So I've got a couple of pointers and a couple of ideas for you on how you can develop your content. Now, if you are like me and you sit down and go, okay, I need to come up with some topics for blogs, and then I just come up with a topic and I know that those are going to be blogs. I go, okay, I need to come up with some topics for next month's Facebook Lives or live training. Then I know that that's going to be content for video. But that is how I work. This is how it works best for me. 90% of the time, 10% of the time, I've got the same thing as, oh my God, I've got this awesome idea, and what the hell am I going to do with it? So if you're one of those people, and you're probably the majority, unless you have a lot of experience creating content, you would be in the same boat. So don't panic. Get your topic. Don't abandon your topic. For the love of SpongeBob, okay? Don't abandon your topic just because you have no idea how to get started with topic development, okay? If you have, I don't know, 10 ideas or a dozen ideas or 50 ideas for topics, write them down. Don't keep them in your head. Write them down somewhere in a book or whatever. There's some ideas on how to organize your content topics on my website under the resources page. You can use Workflowy, Asana, Google Sheets, whatever works for you. But as long as you don't keep them in your head, you write it down somewhere, you get it out, because one idea out of your head makes room for the next brilliant idea to come in, okay? But if you hold on to stuff in your head, then it's just going to swim around in your head. It's never going to be created, one, and two, you're not going to be able to come up with some new ideas eventually. So yeah, once you've got your list of topics, what do? Here's the first question that you need to ask yourself once you just pick a topic. You go, what do I want to say about this particular topic? You have the subject. You know what you want to talk about or create content about. But what do you want to say with it? Do you want to express an opinion? Do you want to do something specific with it? What do you want to say about that topic? Not just the heading, but obviously, a bit more idea of what you want to express. The next thing, what format should you use to express this? Do you want to use, for example, a how-to format, or do you want to use an opinion format, or do you want to use a list format? I'll go through these really quickly. So for example, a how-to format, whether that is a blog or a video that you're creating with a how-to format, is basically when you've got your topic and you want to convey how to achieve a particular result through the steps that you give through your content. So if that is the case, then, you know, if you want to create how-to topic, then you need to create it in a format that will convey that message and will help your viewer or reader achieve a specific outcome through the steps that they take that you describe in your content. If you want to create a list, for example, like, I don't know, top 5 things to do if you want to start exercising, and you're the most unfit person in the world, you know, hello there, that's me, you know, I would read that. But then, you know, this would be a list. So you would gather the top 5 tips that you ascribe to that topic, you know, how to get started with the exercise. They're not in any particular order. They're not like step 1, you need to do this, because and step 2, you need to do this, but that comes after step 1, or step 3 after step 2. If that's how you want to do it, that's a how-to content. So like a top tips that's a list. So you come up with your subtopics in no particular order, and just go, here's my top 5 suggestions, and you can try it out for yourself. You know, there's no specific expected outcome like the how-to content. But there is an outcome that there's going to be some sort of a change. So that's a list. You can make lists out of anything, basically. Okay. The next idea is, do you want to express an opinion? Opinion pieces are really popular in written media, in blogs as well. That's when, you know, something happens in the world, and you just want to put your 2 cents worth in, and you just want to freely express yourself. You know, that is an opinion piece. So you don't have to worry about an outcome for your reader or viewer. You don't have to come up with your top 5 or 10 or 132 whatever ideas for a list. You just basically convey what is in your head, what is in your heart, you know, what you think of a particular thing. Sometimes these are the hardest to express because there's that element of vulnerability that you have to convey through your opinion piece for it to make an impact with your viewers and readers, because there is that investment from them. You want them to be invested emotionally in your opinion piece. Otherwise, they won't read it probably. Okay, so once you know what format you want to use for the message that you want to convey, well, you're 2 steps ahead of anyone who just has an idea. Of course, how-tos, opinion pieces, and lists are only 3 of many different content types or formats that you can use for your content. If you have a particular idea but you don't know how to convey it, let me know and I'll help you figure it out, what the best format for your content and would be to match your message. Okay, the next one. This is a really important thing to think about. What do you want your content to do? Do you want to use it as a lead magnet, as in your business? Do you want the reader or the viewer to consume your content and then buy something from you, subscribe to a service, a paid service, or do you want them to buy a product? You know, So anything that would lead to a sale eventually down that line of content process would be your lead magnet. So do you want your piece of content, whether it's audio or video or a blog, even if it's an image, do you want it to be a lead magnet? If that is the case, then that is the third thing that you need to consider in how you're creating and how you're developing your content. The other type of content that you might want to look at is one that creates engagement. So if you are not after a sale eventually down the line with that piece of content, but if you want to connect with your audience, your clients, your tribe instead, then you create content that would generate engagement. Okay, so once you decide on your topic, you decide on how you want to convey that message or what it is that you want to convey, and you decide on the format. The fourth thing that you need to decide is whether you want this to be lead generating or engagement generating. Okay, when you put whatever content you put out there, it's going to generate something. Okay, if it's not generating anything, that it means you're not marketing it properly. It's one thing to create something like a piece of art and put it out there. Artists say that I'm not doing it for attention, or I'm not doing it for audience or whatever. Yes, you are, because it's going to generate that anyway. Once it's out there for people to see it, it's visible, it's going to generate something. Okay, so might as well think about what you want your content to generate. I'm just switching pages on my notes. Okay, now the next thing you should think about is what media type would be best for your content. Okay, considering the first 4 points that I just mentioned, do you think that a blog would be best, or would it be best to put it on video or audio? Now, it's not only about what you think it will get the most engagement on, but also what capabilities you have to create that content on the media that you think it would be best created on. If you want to create a podcast, but you don't have any equipment, you don't know how to edit your audio, and you don't know how to publish a podcast, you have a few choices. One, you cannot do it in a podcast format. Okay. 2, you can learn how to do it, and you can buy yourself the tech. Or 3, you can learn some of the process and outsource the rest. Okay. The good thing with podcasts is that you can actually get someone else to, you can put your hand up and go, can I be a guest podcaster? You find yourself someone who is in the same sort of niche, or who you think would work well with your topic, compatibility and all that, and approach them, send them an email and go, hey, I've got this topic that I would love to talk about. I don't have my own podcast or whatever, but I would love to be on yours. So you have a couple of possibilities if you are really set on having your content topic put on a podcast. And then you can share that podcast once it's produced. You can share it as if it were your own. You can share it on your social media. You can put it on your website. You can do anything basically, as long as it's done in an ethical way and is within the copyrights laws. Make sure copyrights are always followed. Okay, if you think that a blog would be best, if you want to write a blog, then you need to think about things like, do you have the platform for it? If you have a website, more than likely you will have an option or a feature to publish blogs on it. You might already even have it. If you don't have a website, I've got a couple of suggestions for you a little bit later on when we talk about, or when I talk about tools for developing content. Okay, so make sure that you pick a media that best suits for the purpose of what you want to do with this topic, but also one that you are capable of using and producing too. Okay, now let's talk about all the stuff that you can use to develop your content. Okay, let's cover blogs first. I have on my resources page on my website, you'll find a blog about the top 5 that's a list blog, yes, the top 5 tools that you can use to publish a blog. Okay, if you don't have a website, or if you have a website that doesn't have a blog option, I would recommend using something like Medium. Okay, Medium is free to start with, okay, or indefinitely. You don't have to enter the paid program. Medium is has nothing to do with, you know, talking to the dead and all that kind of stuff. If you haven't heard of it yet, I'll post the link underneath this video. It will basically allow you to create a very simple account and post your blogs onto it with tags and headlines, and you can add videos and photos and all that, just like any other blog. So if you don't have a website, or you don't have the capacity to create a website around a blog, I would recommend trying it with Medium. It's also good for a couple of reasons, because if you want to gain traction with blogs, for example, if that is your chosen content platform, blogging, then especially if you haven't done it before, Medium is free. So you're not spending any money on hosting or any other features. You can try it on for size, what it feels like to pump out maybe a blog a week or a couple of blogs a month, you know, whatever your rhythm is. Are you capable of producing the amount of content that will gain you some traction? You can share your Medium blogs onto Twitter, you can share it onto Facebook, and if you just grab the links to each post, you can basically share it anywhere. So that's what I would recommend if you haven't got a website already. If you have a website, then just keep producing blogs to your website. I would recommend to use a text editing app or a text editing program. I use several. I use Google Docs, I use Hemingway, I use Grammarly, I even use Microsoft Office on occasion, because it's got some stuff that the other platforms don't have. So use all of those. Okay, for audio, for example, if you want to start recording audio, don't get scared. You don't need a huge array of equipment, you know, whiz-bang microphones and amplifiers and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I do a lot of audio recording with my phone, okay? Just my phone. I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 5, I think, yeah, which is a couple of years old. It's not as good a quality as, for example, a Sennheiser microphone that is specifically dedicated for this. But if you're starting out, it will do. It will do. You can grab your audio files off your phone and edit it in Audacity. Audacity is a free audio editing program that is really simple to use, that you can download to either Mac or PC. It doesn't really matter. There are tons and tons of tutorials on YouTube on how to use it, and basically all you need to do to start learning editing audio is to learn how to cut bits and pieces out. Your ums, your sighs, when your cat jumps on your lap, or when your kids come home and start yelling, you know, whatever, you can edit it out. It's really easy. If you want to get some tutorials on how to use Audacity and you don't want to go on Google or YouTube, let me know and I'll do a quick training session on how to use the basic functions of Audacity, and it's free. It's completely free. So far you don't have to spend a cent. If you want to go a little bit further up, maybe you want to get yourself a better microphone that you can use to record your podcast with you can use it with your phone, or you can use it with your laptop and then just edit the audio from there. If you want to do some video content, okay, then again, this is really easy. Most people have smartphones nowadays, and smartphones most of them have got really good cameras. Trust me, they will be probably better cameras than what you get with your laptop or your tablet. I am doing all my Facebook Lives via my phone, okay, because they are much better than my laptop webcam. So if you want to get started on video content, you can use your phone. I have a little tripod that my phone sits in that I got from Officeworks for $10. $10, you know, and it just sits on it. It's got a little cradle that it sits in, and I can put it anywhere. Right now, it's balancing on the top of my bookshelf with a deck of cards put at the back so it doesn't fall over. It's basically, you know, no tech, no brainer. Before then, I used to use some Blu-Tack and or Glue-Tack, whatever you call it. Just stuck it onto the back of my phone and straight onto my laptop. Again, really low tech, no brainer, and it worked. It worked. So once you've got your video, if you want to edit it, there are video editing apps for phones, for your smartphones, whether you've got an iPhone or Android, it doesn't really matter, that are really simple to use and are for free. If you want to edit on your computer, I can recommend programs like VideoPad and Filmora that really are so simple to use. You don't need Adobe Premiere to edit videos unless you're creating high-end stuff that you need all the embellishments that you can get. You don't need those. Start with something really, really simple and really, really low cost or no cost at all. I think I've covered everything: video, audio, and blogging as well. Yeah. So once you have all these together, you pick your topic, you know what message you want to convey, you know how you want to convey it. You decide whether you are going to do it yourself or partially yourself, or you're going to outsource it altogether, whether you have the equipment and the skills. And also, if you want to use the content that you create to generate leads for your business or engagement. So you put all these together, and that is how you decide how you're going to develop your content. Once you create your content, what you also need to keep in mind is that the media that you created on is not going to be the only media that you're going to publish on. You have content. If you're not repurposing your content and pushing it out to other medias, you're sitting on a gold mine that could generate the leads or generate the engagement for you that you need. So for example, this is what I do through Virtualissimo. There's two services that I do. I do blog to video, when I take someone's blog and I create a video around it. I take out the major headings or the major points that they want to make with that blog, and I create it into a visually pleasing video that can be put up on YouTube or Facebook and can be optimized so people can actually find it, because people create or people consume content in different ways at different times. There are some people who only read blogs, they don't watch videos. There are people who only watch videos but they don't read blogs. But you will have all of that in and amongst your audience. So Another thing that I do is instead of blog to video, I do video to blog. So I take people's videos and I turn them into blogs that they can put on their website. And again, the SEO, which is search engine optimization, that's a pretty lengthy expression. The SEO value of that is huge, and you're not creating a new piece of content, you're repurposing it and stretching it out as far as you can. So you have your primary way of how you want that content to be displayed, but think of it in layers, and also in a sense that you can use those pieces of content later on as you go. So it's not just like you publish your blog and you're done, see you later. That's not what it's like. When you publish something, you want to keep using it, because whether you did it yourself and put heaps and heaps of time into it, researching it and then creating it and all that sort of stuff, you want to make the most of it. Okay, so that's what repurposing is all about. If you have paid money for the content to be created for you, then it's the same thing. Money is as much an investment as time and effort, so you want to make sure that you get all your money's worth. So if you need help with developing a particular topic into content, you don't know where to start after this training, for some reason, you're still a bit unsure, you don't know where you want to take the topic, let me know in the comments, and let's see what we can do with it, and let's get creating, people. And remember, you don't need anyone's permission to become and be visible. So I hope you get something out of this training. I do daily little tidbits of content strategy on my page at 6 p.m. Sydney time. That's Virtualissimo Content Strategy on Facebook. So if you want, jump over onto my page, like it, and just go through all the live videos that you can find, or join me at 6 p.m. Otherwise, I'll be back to the group tomorrow with our passion hashtag. I hope you all have a good day. Have a pleasant afternoon. Bye-bye.